let's do it.
So I look right down the barrel of that if I'm starting to get sentimental. If I've got like a real deep thought that I want to bear into their souls.
Just bring the camera closer, just drag it right in. Is that a song?
You need
Lovely stuff.
Do you need a clap for it now then?
Yeah, we'll do a wee clap. Fucking pros, mate. Honest to God.
God.
Some people have no idea. Who was it?
Before.
Someone was in about 2 weeks ago, and me and the tech clapped, and they went, "What are you doing?"
They just start joining in, like you're just welcoming yourself to the stage, just to give yourself a little bit of a boost before the podcast.
But they literally had no clue what was going on. They were like, why are we clapping?
Welcome to the podcast, Ralph and Kai.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, you fucking glad to have a podcast veteran on. How long have you been doing it?
The podcast?
Yeah.
2016 we first hit
Holy
record.
shit, man.
And it was because it's called Sloss and Humphries on the Road, and we just used to huddle over a laptop and put the mic on. Pretty simple operation back then.
Yeah.
And then fucking have a word made we're all up our game. You knew I've got to have cameras and lights
Fucking
and be on
studio,
time.
man. That studio. To be fair, your
Class.
studio's looking like pretty bad as well.
Yeah, well, I think we had to keep up, you know. So we've got a decent following now that we've gathered. Like, it's been the slowest growing following of any podcast, considering we started in 2016. But
Fucking hell, man. 7 years.
we'll have like influxes of people from various things, and then cull the shit ones out of them, and then an influx, and then cull. Like we really cultivate a core audience of people that's going to stick through stoned Amsterdam episodes.
Is there an episode you do and then you go, they're fucking going to drop after that?
Oh, 100%. There's times when we're threadbare on tour.
Oh, really?
We're fucking sick of our lives. We're just like, you know, you've sometimes on tour, like you've done the gig, you've had a drink afterwards, your airport calls at 4, and then you do 2 flights with a long connect in Frankfurt or something, and then they meet you at the other end, but they've been planning this gig, these promoters, like it's your like next gig out of a run of about 90 or whatever, but for them this is the big gig that they've been working for in Poland or whatever. So we'll just take a deep breath, get rid of the hangover, game face on, and go and say hello to our mates who are promoting the show, and then represent socially. You know, going out with them, do the sound check, check into the hotel,
and then that's
have a night out after, see him again the next day. And some of the days we're like, fuck, we've got to, when you're on stage, I'll go and set up the podcast equipment, and then when you get off, we'll run over and do that, and then go out for a drink with them after. So we're trying to squeeze the podcast in, and sometimes on them ones, we are thread fucking bare, man. We're just angry. We're just irritated. And when I'm irritated, I laugh at my own irritation.
Right.
Danny brings the world down with him. Birds fall out the sky.
Brilliant. Fucking hell. Yeah, I was going to ask, man, what's like the longest you've been away on tour? For
18 months.
Seriously?
Yeah. You know what? There was little times where like I lived in London at the time, and like the gigs passed through London, or there was like brief sabbaticals in the tour. So I did get to go home and spend the night in my own bed several times in that 18 months. But it was, you know, in 2018, we started every year. We did the tour. This is back from 2010.
Yeah.
So people listening to that tour with Daniel Sloss opening for him, just in case.
Yeah.
It's probably in the.
I'll do a wee bit
Put
of
it
intro.
in the blurb.
I'll
Put it
do
in the
intro.
Yeah. Just all without context. So we used to, after the Fringe, he'd tour his Fringe show just across the UK until December. And it was like 2014, we added a bit of Europe in. And it didn't get longer by adding Europe. We just took out Barrow and Finesse.
Yeah, I was going to say, skate the shit out.
Swindon. You just start like pulling out the stuff that you weren't enjoying.
What we do, Poland, Paris,
Leeds. Let's go to Vienna instead. So we kind of just streamlined at that. Then in 2018, we're setting up to go on tour for 3 months, like we always do. And these Netflix specials double dropped because we released 2 in September of 2018. And that tour just kept getting bigger and bigger. So we're done with 3 months that we're already in. None of them venues were big enough. So we needed to go back to all of them venues, all of them cities and countries to bigger venues. And then we started adding in like Moscow and Tokyo and territories that we'd never done before, Hong Kong, Singapore. And then like while we're there, we're like, let's keep fucking going over to Australia. And then I think there was some mad ones. Like we went from Lincoln to Tokyo on one bit of the tour, and we went from Perth to Reykjavik on one bit of the tour.
Oh my God.
And this tour just kept on going. It just plowed right through.
18 months on the road.
Aye.
Fuck, man.
And it got to the point where we're just like, is this what you wanted? Like, this is what we always wanted. It's like Bruce Bogtrotter eating a bit of cake. And like, do you want fucking cake? The rest
more
of the cake. Eat all the cake.
Fuck.
So we've got a really good balance now. We're like, if the tour is going to take 4 years, it takes 4 years, but we're going to come home in between every
Yeah, like starting to get a bit, like, get your own time back.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking hell, man.
Yeah, because when like if we go across to Europe, we used to stay across in Europe until we'd done Europe.
Yeah.
Now we're like, all right, we'll do Belgium, come back. Go and do
That's wild,
Amsterdam,
man.
come back. We'll go and do Paris, come
You got
back.
a favourite? You got like a top 3 places?
It's hard to be put on the spot with. Probably do play.
Top
You know
one.
what? You know what? Top gigs is different to top destinations.
Yeah, well, go destinations, man.
Destination New Orleans.
Oh my, you've gigged in New Orleans.
New Orleans is
That's
sick.
like, I've mentioned on this podcast about 5 times. That's the one place I still want to go to.
It's unbelievable.
Oh my God,
it's great. The gig never sells as well as the rest, and it never
Right.
truly smashes.
Yeah.
But we just eat it. It's still fine. It's still a good gig.
still.
Like, it's still a great gig. But it just doesn't pop like the rest of them do. The best gig is the Wilbur in Boston, which we're actually doing next week.
No way.
So good.
Shit, is that the Wilbert Theatre?
The Wilbur Theatre, yeah. So
Pretty sure I've heard Bill Burr talk about that one.
yeah, like a lot of the American comics talk about it, so it's quite iconic before you even get there.
My God, man.
So it's funny when you get like slightly starstruck by a place
Yeah.
when you walk in, and then when it lives up to the hype.
Shit, man. That's so cool.
So we're doing like a run there. I think we've got like 4 days.
Because I always ask like people like where their favourite gigs are and everything like that. But I mean, no one's got how many countries are
That was
there
like
now?
the Glee.
The Glee, yeah.
Which is fucking great, by the way. But,
Class gigs, yeah.
we've played some fucking amazing venues, man. You know the Bataclan in Paris, the
No
one that got
way.
shot up. We played that in January this year.
Oof, that's a fucking.
Yeah.
That's got some. That's fucking. I can't even imagine what that place is
Danny
like.
done a fucking opening line as well.
Oh, God.
I'm gonna butcher it, but it was along the lines of, "What an amazing venue! I'd like to film me special here. I'd like to shoot something." just a wee opening line about a terrorist attack that happened in the fucking venue that
I was
he's
going to say,
gigging
how long ago was that?
at.
Was that 10 years?
And then he said the accident. Accidentally.
They accidentally shot up the theatre. Fuck, so that was about 10 years ago, I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't know
fucking- that's
exactly.
enough time,
But,
that's enough
but there was
time.
like actually a security guard that like fucking worked there when shit was happening, and he found it funny that Danny made a joke about it. He's like,
You'd have to.
Yeah.
You're fucking hell. If
Sense
you're
of
gonna
humour
get
with
that, probably not. He's probably not going to be the only one, but fucking to open your gig with that, Danny. Jesus Christ.
it was brilliant. Fucking, 'cause he
ballsy.
mentioned he was gonna date, so like I was like, "Fuck, I'm gonna hang around in the wings here, and see how it goes down.
Yeah. And when you're on the tour, are you getting to proper see the cities when you're doing it?
It's like speed dating.
Right.
You speed date the cities.
Let's do the top things. Fucking get out of
You
there.
get like you get that period between checking into your hotel and sound check.
Yeah.
Where you've got like a bit of time for tourism. It's like, so in Philadelphia, I went and done the Rocky Steps.
Yeah.
You know, I ran that.
Did you run it?
I ran from your hotel to the kind of row with the trees, like where he runs down, where everyone follows him, and then up the steps, and then the statue isn't there.
Was it not?
And I asked around, like, where's the statue? And they're like, oh, it's at the bottom of the steps.
Oh, come on.
So-
So you had to run back
So
down.
you going back down, and I ended up like doing an opening joke in Philadelphia about that. I did the Philadelphia Walk of Shame today, and I was like, I don't know if you know what the Philadelphia Walk of Shame is, but I'll explain it to you. It's when you run up the rocky steps and you find out the statues at the bottom, and you just see all the other fucking tourists looking at their feet sheepishly walking
everyone's
down the
like,
steps
"Oh."
after their triumphant fucking big finish. But it's nice because you do, if you go and just spend that hour or so just like going to see something,
Yeah.
you can often like connect with the city and have a little bit to say about them
Yeah.
beforehand. But like the kind of options like tourist attraction or food spot.
Yeah. That's what you want. I think I would do that. I would want to know somewhere good, top food place and top like tourist site.
Yeah.
Just get that done and then get back out if you had to.
Yeah, it's good. Usually, like the on-site promoter, I'll like just go like, "What is it you want to do?" And we're like,
Yeah.
so in like Romania, and we'll be like, "We want some traditional Romanian food." And they'll take you into this like family-run fucking like underground fucking like jars of like pickled eyeballs on the walls and shit like that. And you're just
Jesus.
like, "I'll have the tripe soup, please."
Is it to the point now? Are you just like like airports, hotels, you're just like sick of them? Or does it still feel like quite?
Oh, you know what's nice when you get a good one.
Yeah.
Like like Edinburgh's the worst you'll get. And we rant about that so much on
Yeah.
our podcast because that's a lot of what our podcast is ranting about airports,
Edinburgh,
hotels. So I was in Milan.
Yeah, for the Newcastle.
Tourism. Yeah, a bit of football tourism.
Nice.
I'd been there gigging before. We're kind of in and out, so it was nice to go to the canals and hang out a bit. But each of them have, each lane in the security have the new things that you can just put your bag on with your laptop in. Your liquids don't have to be in the little bag. You just put your bag on, it goes through and you're through. And it's like living in the future.
Yeah.
Or the past.
Mate, we'll be about 10 years behind them. There's no way that UK will be on that.
Well, I've been in airports where they've got one lane that does that. And like, if you so happen to get into that lane, you're lucky. But
Okay, now. How was Milan? I've never been.
So good, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the Milan fans as well. They were really sound.
Yeah, I mean, they get the Ultras get a really bad name, the Milan Ultras and that. But
you know what? I saw them all getting organised beforehand. They were like in their, because they weren't in Milan strips, they were in their own little band T-shirts that they had made.
Really?
And they were huddling up and looked like they were. It's hard to like be intimidated by people that are huddled up organising their songs.
Yeah.
The little songs that they're going to do.
Yeah, with the wee drums and everything like that. Yeah. So that you were just saying before, like you've had a bit of time at home. Is that a bit of a rare?
I've done 3 gigs in August and 3 gigs in September.
That must feel good.
It was mint. I just got on. I feel like I'm on top of everything.
Yeah.
I feel like all my admin. I've been going to the gym. I've been running.
Having a life.
I've built a studio.
Yeah.
I've been helping my wife with that business.
Fucking hell, man.
It's been class.
Brilliant. And tonight's the last night of Mischief, isn't it? The tour for that.
It's a bit of an encore show. Like I'd finished already.
Yeah.
I'd finished already, and availability come up at the stand, which is where I started it because I'd done the stand for my Edinburgh show in 2022.
Yeah.
So I've already done like quite a big run at that venue, and then I've been like over to Sydney and Melbourne and Perth and across the UK and that, and I wrapped that up in middle of June.
Yeah.
And then this spot come up here, and I was like, right, I'm gonna write a new show. Let's give this one.
The poster's class. Who did the poster?
A guy in Canada called Kurt Feeler.
Yeah.
Very cool, man. And he's phenomenal. He's done a few comedians posters at the Fringe, and you probably like spot the style,
right?
Like if you see them, I think he's done Ari Shafir's, and he's done a couple. I can't think of them off the top of my head, but there's a few where I've seen them and I'm like, oh, like you can tell this guy's like, it's quite expensive, but it was one of the bits where I'm gonna like put, when you think about where your budget's going, I'm like, if my poster's gonna be getting some like big spaces, I want it to be class.
Oh, fucking very cool poster, man.
So that's the type of money where like it probably doesn't come back there, but it's worth it. Just
it's worth it for your own memories of that's the poster,
and just for how like fucking cool the show looks before you go. Like it's it's one of the first times I had my show mostly written before I made my poster.
Right.
So I actually got to like, I knew it was going to be about like growing up on the council estate.
Yeah.
And like causing trouble on the streets, the 90s, nostalgic.
Yeah.
So I got to hit him with a few key words, and then he made the poster.
Perfect. Because very rarely does that happen.
I've gotten it wrong so many times.
Yeah. Normally it's like show name poster comes like in like the show name's February. Then fucking posters maybe a week before the show actually starts.
So this is what I did in 2013, right? I called the show Shameless because that was going to be my council estate show. Right, that was Shameless was relevant at the time, right? So I called the show Shameless. I'd done a photo shoot. In the middle of the photo shoot, right, there was a fucking disco ball in the corner of the cameraman's studio, right? It must have been a prop for something else that he'd done. Yeah. And as just an Easter egg, right, in the pictures, pulled me trousers doing around my ankles, took my top off, and just humped the disco ball. And there was just like all these quality photos with one shite photo in the middle for the agent to just look through and go, bah! And she went, I fucking love it.
Really?
She went, I love it, we're using that one. I fucking hated it, but she's the person selling me show.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, do what you need to do. She's got Shameless, me humping a disco ball, and she thought it worked.
And that was it.
And then in July 2013, I went to Pamplona and done the bull run, and I got trampled by bulls. and I fell over in the middle of the bull run.
No
Like
way.
I crossing Dead Man's Curve, the 90-degree. It's called Estafeta, the 90-degree turn where the bulls like bend around the corner. That's where all the cameramen are. And I look back now and I'm like, it's unethical as fuck. I'd never do it now. You know, like when you grow as a person and you're like, I can see why there's activists.
Yeah,
And I can
fuck
see that.
yeah.
At the time, I'm just this fucking young, foolish hothead that's like just looking for the next adrenaline dump.
Definitely,
right? And like, my mind has completely changed on the fucking whole festival.
Yeah, that's something I think.
That said,
Like when you hear about bullfights and everything like that, and you're like, yeah, it's part of the culture, heritage, and that, but then you're like, but you're fucking like torturing a bull.
it's brutal.
It's fucking harsh.
It's not on, but
We're looking at down the camera. It's fucking
It's not
Spain.
on.
Fuck you.
it's not on. You shouldn't do it. I don't recommend it.
We condemn it,
But I did it. I've got the story,
and it's class.
and I'm going to tell it.
We're gonna get a class story. Here we go.
So I ran across the thing and stumbled and fell, and someone gave us some advice. If you fall, curl up in a ball because they'll think you're a boulder and they'll jump over you. If they think you're a person getting up and trying to run, they'll go for you, right? So the hooves will hurt you, the horns will kill you.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna get trampled on, you do that. But like, don't get in front of the horns. So I fell, I curled up in a ball, and in a split second, heard, and it was done. And I just get up, and I'm fucking heavy breathing. Somebody drags us like to the side, and I catch up with my mates, and I was just like, I've just been trampled by bulls. And like, you know, in these events, everybody has their story about how they got close to the bulls and they got trampled. So I just added I got trampled by bulls to the choir of everybody and like exaggerating their own stories.
Yeah.
And I just kind of went, nah, it probably wasn't as bad as I made out. And then the next day, all of the photos in the shops, because it's like that they're selling photos of the big.
Oh, really? Like merch?
They sell photos like merch because like you're looking for yourself in the photos. And you're like, there's
like
me.
you come off a
above.
ride at a roller coaster or something like that.
100%. So that's why all the cameramen are there, because they can sell their photos to if they catch you.
Right.
Motherfucker, I was in every window, front and centre, curled up in a ball.
So you were one of the worst, like close calls.
I was on the front page of the Spanish national newspaper. Right, I can send you the photos.
Oh, man,
I'll
see it.
send you all the photos that I'm talking about. Right, I ended up in the local papers back home. I ended up getting a lot of hate online, actually, and rightly so, because of the
because of what you're doing.
the element of it. Yeah, and
how long into the running was this when you fell?
so you end up like on the streets well before the run starts,
Right.
because they'll block the streets off. So you get up super early, like say
Right.
6 a.m. or whatever, find yourself a spot, and then you just while away the hours, and then all of a sudden the time comes. When the run starts, it takes them like a little while. I'm tempted to say like a minute, but it's probably not even that long to come from where they're released. And you can't see them because there's a flood of people. But what you can see is the cameras on the balcony. So the cameras start following the bulls, the video cameras, start following the bulls so you can see how close they are. So when it gets to a certain point, you go, right now, they're nearly here, and you run across. And the idea is you cut across the corner and the bulls overtake you and go wide. And then you get to run across in that pocket. You get to run alongside them in that pocket. That was the plan. And I fell over. So, and then it happened really fast. Now, that happened in July 2013. And obviously, that became my fringe show.
Oh, it would have to be.
I had to
Get the other stuff in the bin.
I had to make that my fringe show. So I
Yeah.
had this fucking beautiful show about the bull run, and all of it was callbacks. Like the life flashing in front of my eyes, shit was like things that I'd learned throughout my life, and like even the question of the ethics of it and all that like started coming into play. And like it was just a really nice, well-formed show. It was my third fringe show and my first one where I felt like it was a proper show.
Yeah.
Where it wasn't just an hour of stand-up, it was an actual show.
Yeah.
And I had a poster of me humping a disco ball, and it was called Shameless. What a fucking waste.
Oh my god, people be like, that's fucking poster's got nothing to do with that show.
No to do with it. And I could have used that as a massive hook as well.
Oh yeah. That
if I had
picture.
it.
Well, it sounds like a big iconic picture for
Yeah.
the time.
Aye.
Oh my god,
I
Guy,
had
that's
fucking
wild.
dozens of pictures to choose from that would have done it. But like, I had probably had.
Have you got that picture?
I would
framed?
have probably had activists turning up to be
Oh,
show, and I would have been
yeah.
like, "You're right."
Yeah, I agree.
You're totally right.
Have you got the picture framed? The Bill one.
I don't, but
No.
I do have the newspapers
Yeah.
preserved in a box like under the bed.
Okay, that's some life to running with the Bulls.
Uh,
I did fancy it. I always fancied it when I was younger, but I just kind of thought, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know when I was in my 20s. I feel like
I think is it the big tomato fight in Spain. That looks fucking could be quite fun as well.
That's probably one that'll kill us.
Yeah, that'll
probably
be
die at that one. Survive the bull run, and then I remember. Can you remember a comedian called Lewis Schaefer? I don't know if he
Yes.
still guns anymore. Does he still gig?
Lewis, is he not on like GB News now?
Is he? That makes a lot of sense, actually.
Lewis Schaefer.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, this guy.
Because I stayed with him that Fringe.
This guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like...
Oh, no, it wasn't that Fringe where I stayed with him. I stayed with him in like 2010 or something, but that's where I knew him from.
Yeah.
So, because he used to like, you'd go downstairs and he'd be like eating a bowl of cereal with just a t-shirt on and knee trousers and knee boxers on. No, just cockroach eating his cereal. And he'd start talking to you. And you'd go to join in the conversation and he'd go, "What are you doing?" "I'm trying a bit." Like, fuck off, man. Q is in if you're doing a bit. Can I house this bit? Fucking do that. But he was like, you're not at a level to die at the bull run. You wouldn't be like comedian dies at the bull run or like you fucking you'd just be bull run dying guy.
Yeah.
Like you just
like Kai Humphries brackets comedian. Yeah, that would be it. But I'm weirdly, I met him. I was at like some like bar or something like that. No, not that. It was one of the fringy places like where you go to like just chill out and everything like that near George Square.
Yeah.
I was just sitting in there. He just comes up to me next to me, starts talking to me. And I was like, I fucking know who this guy is. And he just starts chatting away to the point, I was like, oh, this is cool. He just kept talking so much. I was like, right, I need to like go now. And he just kept talking and talking and talking and just would not shut the fuck up. And it went from like, oh my God, that's Lewis Schaefer to, well, you shut the fuck up, Lewis Schaefer.
Man,
But he's well into the GB News now.
is he? Last time I saw him online, he was just eating meat, just meat.
Just meat.
Like nothing else but meat or something. Like that's what he was banging on about anyway. I don't know, he was maybe doing a bit.
Yeah. I don't know how like, I don't know if he's like right wing or anything, but I've definitely seen him like proper on all the wee clips and stuff like that. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, mate?
You know what? He was a nice enough guy. Like I got along with him.
Yeah,
but
that's cool, man.
I think a lot of people where it's not quite firing up for them just like use that as like well, I've got one last shot.
Yeah, that's
GB News.
Mate, that's exactly it.
GB News route.
It's such a mad thing. It's just like a lot of people are like, oh, I want it closed down. And I'm like, just fucking, it'll fizzle out.
I reckon I could make bank, if I leaned right. I reckon I could speak to them guys.
I don't even think.
I think I look like one of them. I talk like one of them. Like I feel like they'd see me as the articulate person that they'd have. Like if I started articulating their right wing thoughts back at them.
Yeah. You'd be the Northeast correspondent. You'd be like, when I go a Kai in the field.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I do think.
I reckon I could mop up the All Lives Matter lot. Cash that in.
I don't 100% believe they all believe what they're saying. They're definitely leaning into it just to be like, it must be like a regular job. They've now got like an office job and it's just paying.
Yeah.
I don't think they all believe it.
Nah. You know what? They'd probably have quite left-wing liberal views if they were still getting like $1,000 a weekend at Jonglers.
Yeah, that's it, man. That's it. They would if they were getting paid outside that, they would definitely be doing it. Yeah. But there'll be other people that do it.
So funny that your moral compass can be for sale.
Yeah, I definitely will.
There was that bit where namesake Alfie Brown.
Yes.
He obviously had that scandal where he done a swing and a miss on a bit about language and come across very racist.
Yep.
And then there was doing it down the barrel of the lens. GB News. You've got a place with us. You can come and sit next to us. We'll always have a place for you. And I was looking at that guy. If I was Alfie, right? If that was me, where like a bit of material that I tried to be smart with 7 years ago come back and haunted us, right?
Yeah.
I tell you what I would do before I sat next to them on GB News. Get back to my old job, get me factory work again, get to a normal job for money.
Yeah, well, that must have been a mad thing for him to just be the proper like centre of the universe, of the media universe, just for a little bit.
What's funny is I bet you if you mentioned it on stage, right, to not a fringe audience, just a regular club night, right, or if you did a joke about it, nobody in the audience would laugh like it was a topical thing, like it was like, like Philip Schofield or Russell Brand or something like that. Yeah. Like if you want to bring up a news story in a club night, people are gonna like the fucking tree in Northumberland, Sycamore Gap, right? If you want to do something like that, everybody in that audience knows that. But if you were to bring up what happened with Alfie Brown, I think like less than 1% of a regular
I
audience
think
would
so, man.
know. So it was very industry.
Yeah, it was our world.
centric.
We knew.
It was like our whole world was the teacup that the
Yeah.
storm was happening in, which
Yeah.
is still fucked up if you're in that storm.
Yeah.
Um,
Twitter as well. A little bit on Twitter, but again,
yeah.
not that many people would know.
Yeah, I guarantee, like, if I go and chat to my mum and dad, they won't know about it.
No, God, no.
And they're like, they've got a son in comedy, so they're
Yeah,
closer
yeah.
to the centre than
It was
the
not
majority
on
of the
like
world.
BBC News. If it's not on like your Daily Mail, BBC News top headlines, people
Yeah.
don't have a clue.
I saw Alfie in Australia the first time after it had come out about it and all that, and I was doing the runs and he was dealing with it. And I was like, "That's it. You've come to Australia to find your audience." And he just went. I've just been to Brisbane. They were requesting it.
Oh my God. Fucking hell, man.
And we had a belter moment on the way to a gala show as well, where it was me, him, Mickey Bartlett, Connor Burns,
Yeah.
a couple of New Zealand comics who I'd just met like that day as we got into the like kind of people carrier / bus, and Geordie, who was driving the Aussie lass, who was running with the gigs and like one of the producers for Century. And I was talking about, have you seen the Instagram, like, I'm tempted to say meme, but it's videos of
The reels.
Ole Crease. Reels, that's the word I was looking
Yes,
for.
yeah,
Thank you.
Ole Crease.
Ole
Yeah, I've seen Ole
Crease.
Crease. Yeah, yeah. It's
Which is
basically
a
a piss take of Leo Kurtz.
It's a parody of
Yeah.
Leo Kurtz, and I was just scrolling through my Instagram, and you know when you haven't got the sound on, and like the cartoons chatting away, right? And I was sat in the shotgun, and I just leaned into the van, and I was like, "Does anybody know who does this?" Like, I reckon, is it Richard Gard or something? Like, I'm just like speculating about who could be creating this, because I think it's fucking hilarious.
It's so funny, yeah.
Do you know who makes it or not?
No, I have no idea.
So I didn't know who made it, right? And then Alfie went, "Oh, I've seen something like this before. I'm not sure. Maybe it's such and such." And Mickey's like, "What is it?" And he hadn't seen it before.
Right.
And I went, "Do you want to watch one?" And I pressed play, and it's like the first thing that come out of his mouth on this reel was, "Have you seen this? Alfie Brown's been cancelled just for saying the N-word 96 times." Into the van, if Alfie, a few of his mates and people he's never met, and it was like the elephant in the room hadn't even been pointed out yet for everybody. And I nearly fucking dropped my phone. It was like a bar of soap.
So sorry, that's it.
Alfie Gans afterwards, he was like, "You threw your phone up in the air like you'd accidentally shown us a nude."
Did he find it funny?
Oh man, we were howling. We were fucking
Good, man.
dying laughing. It was really like, I think it was cathartic for him.
Yeah, yeah. If that's the first time it's getting mentioned via that, so funny. I'm sure I've seen Leo saying that he knows who it is.
How does Leo feel about it? I'm actually
I don't know.
humored about it, is he?
I don't know.
He's not
Is
gonna-
it still going? I don't know if it's still going.
It would be remiss for him to be offended by it.
Exactly,
Like,
man. That's
imagine.
like, if any
You're
of
not gonna
them...
clutch your pearls at the
Yeah.
thing.
A cartoon. But I think like I've seen like Darius and everything like that, all his mates like kind of sharing about it and piss taking it and that. So I think he can't be that bothered.
Nah.
I mean, it's a lot of effort to go to
Oh yeah, aye.
to come up with a cartoon that's got a good cartoon as well.
I think I'd find it hilarious if somebody was doing a parody fucking cartoon. Like I'd be like flattered by it.
Yeah.
I'd be a bit flat, especially if it was like legit funny like it is.
And it's not, that's the thing. It's not being too harsh. It's just a piss take on his like kind of like right wing guy. So I don't know. I think he must be fine with it.
I'd also question myself.
Yeah,
If
if you've made it to that.
I'd be like, right. You know, when somebody points out you've got a tick.
Yeah.
You know, if you just go, like my dad had one where he just kept going sort of like. I sort of like went up the road and then sort of like, you know, when you turn left and then sort of like go up the cut. And I went like, "Dad, you do know you say sort of like all the time." And the minute I told him, he spotted it within himself. And you could see he was talking and he can. Danny done it on the podcast with Objectively.
Yeah.
And he would always use it as hyperbole.
Right.
It was always
actually been objectively.
It was always a subjective thing, but he was like, "He's objectively not funny" or whatever. And I was like, "Man, that's like the 100th time on this episode you said objectively." And then now every time he goes to say it, So I think having somebody make a parody account every time that you were like, oh, this woke oh man.
Yeah,
Man,
woke.
I've just said woke again. Woke.
Yeah. They must know it themselves that they've got the wee buzz, the bingo cards of just things they say
yeah.
all the fucking time.
Uh,
But it's only when you watch it back do you hear
Yeah.
it and you're like, oh my fucking
That's
God.
why it's important to watch yourself back. And I'm giving this advice as if I ever do it. I barely ever do it.
Yeah.
I've rarely watched myself back. I don't put up many clips. I watch myself back if I record a show and then watch it back and go, if only I'd watched myself back, that show would be better.
Yeah, but I'm not doing that.
Uh,
So you like desperate now to like get out and start doing new material now that you're putting all the shows to bed and everything like that.
I've started like writing down things when I'm funny rather than just letting them go.
Yeah.
I quite enjoyed that like year and a half of letting funny be natural and lose it to the ether. You know, like have people in stitches in social situations and not getting your phone out to make a little note. But now I'm at the point where I'm like scribbling notes down. Like,
It's got to be done, man.
I'll make my wife laugh and I'll be like 2 seconds and then write it down. So I'm just at the note writing phase. I haven't put anything out yet. I haven't got an idea of concept, but I've got a couple of little notes in my phone and I just
I do that as well, man. Sometimes I'll just go to the toilet and I'll just be like writing a wee bit and I'll be like, back in a minute. It's fucking, it has to be done though.
yeah, it does.
It has to be
it
done.
It does. And if you're not writing towards something, you never do it.
Yeah.
And I think if you leave it too long, the harder it gets to capture it.
Yeah. So are you doing it with the idea of doing like Fringe next year?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to start off at Glasgow Comedy Festival in March. So that'll be my first off notes, I think.
Class.
So I'm going to have something together by March, which is me bullet in the gun that's pointing at my head. You need a gun at your head.
You do, man. You need a deadline.
If you don't have a gun at your head, you're never going to do it. Ever. You know, if you just go, I'll write a show and then when it's ready, I'll put in my Fringe application and
I've
work
never
on my
bothered with
poster.
Glasgow Comedy Festival before, but I'm doing it for the first time next year and just be like, just giving myself a deadline. Write the show, just get it done. But without that deadline, I'd be like, I'll just write in July, fuck it.
Yeah, I've done that before as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck, man.
Where I've done my preview on the way to the Fringe, my one preview on the way from London to Edinburgh.
Have you any idea what early ideas?
Nah.
Nah.
I've wrote notes about rappers. I've wrote some notes about rap music.
How detailed do you go with your notes? Do you kind of go and then you just kind of go up and then you walk out on
if
stage?
ever I've got a good punchline, I'll write the entire punchline. If
Really?
ever I've got the idea for a premise or an angle that hasn't been like the punchline's added to it yet, I'll just write the bare bones of it.
Yeah.
Which is brave because like you often leave it too long and forget what the note means.
Yeah.
And you look at the note and
Oh, man, I've done that so many times.
that's what I loved about Setlist. You know, when I used to run Setlist, then all of the Setlist topics were just like the notes in your phone that didn't make any sense. Time traveling dominatrix.
Yes. Are you doing it again, do you think?
Nah.
Are you think you do Settlers again?
Nah, I don't think so. It was a proper passion project, that one, because it's not my vehicle. It's Paul Provenza and Babs Roman, Troy Conrad over in LA.
Yeah.
They just stopped doing it at the Fringe because lots of flights and accommodation doesn't make it very profitable.
Yeah.
So they pretty much like give me the keys to the Ferrari to drive around in for a few
Nice.
years, and then it just started getting a little bit like work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you're like, there's a lot more than just hosting it.
Yeah.
Like hosting it and running the tiles and setting it up and booking the acts, and like it's quite a
Too
big
much admin.
thing. It's definitely not financially worthwhile.
Yeah.
As far as a job goes, so you need to be like pure passionate about it. And last year I just had so much else on that it was stressing us the fuck out. Like I just had a lot going on like in me personal life as well, and I had that, and I was just like, oh, I don't love the workload of this. I love the show.
Yeah.
Fuck me, man. If the show was at the Fringe and I could just host it,
Yeah.
or do it, or do spots, like it's my favorite show ever.
Right.
But as far as like carrying the workload of it went, I was just a little bit.
Yeah, that's when it starts becoming a chore. You need to just get rid of it, man.
Yeah.
You got much coming up Any cool gigs coming up? Oh, you're doing the Wilbur.
So we're going to go over to America and we've got like a bit of back and forth. We're going to go to America and do Boston and then come back for a couple of weeks and then go back and do 8 days on the East Coast, like LA and San Diego and I think San Francisco as well. But like this is on Sloss's tour. So we've got that coming up it's October now, isn't it? That's October. And then we've got like a bunch of European stuff like Belgium and I think like Austria and Germany. We've got a big tour of Germany in December, like 2 weeks of like all across Germany.
Is there a country that like you just don't like? Is there a country you're like, oh, fucking can't go there? Or is there a place like South America? You been there?
That's one place where we're like, it's on my wish list.
Yeah.
That's the one where we're speaking to our management and our agent and saying that's what we want to do, and they're trying to make it work financially as well. There's definitely an audience out there. You know where territory were unlocked this year? India. Fucking massive audience in India.
Really?
They speak such good English.
Yeah.
Because I was going in Geordie accent. I'm like, I do know how to train my accent for the European audience.
Yeah.
Right? And I tell you what, European audiences get my accent a lot better than American audiences.
Oh, really?
I have to slow down and enunciate a lot more in America than I do in Portugal.
That's mental.
Yeah.
And India were fine?
India's got a better grasp of the English language than most of Europe. And they're like Anglophiles.
I suppose, yes.
They watch a lot of British comedy and British TV. And they reacted to Daniel like he was the Beatles.
Oh, really?
It was massive. What a fucking response he got. Like banging on the window of the car and shit. Like, you know, like people trying to like get in the car. People like running across traffic to try and get there. He got like a standing ovation as he walked on and people screaming. And I can only assume it's because of, you know, the breakup show, Jigsaw.
Yeah.
If anyone's seen Jigsaw on Netflix, he just encourages loveless marriages to end. Essentially. He's like, I'm not trying to break up people who are happy. I'm trying to break up people who are merely convenienced by each other. So he does this show, and I think whereas it was a social impact for unhappy people in the West, I think it was like a political thing for arranged marriages over there.
Oh, really?
I think so. I think it might have been like a massive hitting the nail on the head for relationship stuff.
Shit.
I think so. Like it's a lot more of like speaking truth to power rather than just like,
right. Yeah, just not a kind of funny wee show to them. That was like proper serious stuff.
So I think that's why like there's that like extra level of hero worship coming from them when they say him. But that was mad how like we have always had people on Twitter, and when we did Twitch, like people were like, come to India. So we kind of half knew there was an audience out there, but it wasn't until we went out there that we were just like, oh fuck, this is big. Yeah, this is really, really big.
Fucking hell, man. That's some life, man. Some life, just touring the world doing comedy.
It's so good.
That's class. I think that's the kind of every comedian's dream, is to do what you guys are doing. And it's just to go and see the world and just do it everywhere.
And you know what as well? Like I'm not that egotistical that like I'm jealous of Daniel. I'm not like I really like, I think it's amazing what he's got, but that looks like it's quite stressful actually. Really? You know, like the because you've got a lot more press to do. You've got a lot more. The show has to live up to the last one every year.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
And it's kind of just like easy work for me. I like doing my club gigs. I like doing my 20. Like I'd like doing my show as well. I'll always try and do my own show alongside it, so that like I've always got my own thing going on. Yeah. But to tour the world doing 25-minute club sets to audiences and stay in the same hotels as the superstar on the ticket. Yeah. It's a real. I heard Bill Burr say once, the only thing better than having a boat is having a friend who has a boat. And I feel like even though my face isn't on the poster, I'm still getting this fucking.
You're getting the same experience.
Yeah, like. And as well, I get to just experience it with my best pal as well. Like I get to travel the world with my best mate, and I have a lovely time on them tours.
Man,
good.
That's
that 18-month one, like it did get heavy. And
yeah,
like,
I was gonna say that's quite a toll.
We did have like absolute fucking breakdowns, but like even our breakdowns were cool, man. We're fucking lost our mind when we were in Hong Kong, and I just went and got a bottle of whiskey from a bottle shop. I found a Scottish whiskey, and we just fucking drank a bottle of Scotch, a bottle of Scottish whiskey over in Hong Kong, and just fucking ordered room service, and we just woke up with a shitty hangover.
Yeah.
We've done a bit of fucking sobbing and that, and like we just look around, we're just like, at least our breakdowns are cool. Because we nearly called it off.
Really?
We're like 12 to 14 months into this big tour, and not long left, really, like 3 or 4 months left, which is the size of a regular tour, really. We just nearly ended it. We're just like, no, we need to go home. We're like totally displacement.
I mean, it got you that, you were that far in for that breakdown to happen. It's quite fucking good going, man. That's, a lot of people would just crack, even after a few months away from home.
Well, it was a funny one because, like, at first you're just like, I can't believe this is happening. I'm seeing all these new places. Like, I'm fucking doing my dream job, and it's fucking popped. So, like, you ride the adrenaline off that for a little while, and the novelty of that wears off, and you really just like, I got married, and a week before we started the tour, and I haven't seen my wife in nearly a year. Like, so, but we had, I don't want to, like, I don't want to make it sound that shitty, because I did see my wife.
Kind of coming back.
I had like long spells away, and like people who work on oil rigs, people who work in the forces, that's their life also, except they're not just going around getting drunk with their mate, they're actually fucking grafting. So I'm not trying to make it sound like a sub story, but it did get heavy, and it did get to the point where we're just like, I didn't, when I dreamt of this, I thought I'd wake up.
Fucking hell, man.
But we've got it right now. We've found the perfect balance. Like, we're
class, man. Well, I appreciate you coming in, man. I know we'll get you off. There's just 2 wee bits before you go away. It's just that you basically get to suggest a guest for a future podcast episode. I will try and get them on the podcast. And when you find funny that you like in comedy, I'll try and get them on.
Can I recommend a young up and coming comic from? You might know him already. Do you know young Jack Trainer?
Yeah, Jack.
Ginger Mullet.
Yeah.
So I had I saw him on at the Red Raw when I was working on Mischief. Yeah, I was trying some new material out at Red Raw, and he was on. He was really good. He
fucking very funny guy, man.
And then I was at the Globe watching a Newcastle match during that Fringe when I was doing that show, and he was watching a different match on the other telly, and we just ended up having a pint together. And I offered him a gig at Lindisfarne Festival, where we're running the comedy tent, and he come down there and done that gig, and he smashed that as well.
Oh, he's a brilliant comic, mate.
So he's fairly new, and I just found him like he's great crack.
Love that, mate. Love that. And then the last thing is, are there any like TV shows, albums, films you've watched recently that you like we want to recommend?
All right, I'm balls deep in Yellowstone at the minute.
Yellowstone, yes.
Kevin Costner's top G. He's fucking excellent in it. He's absolutely superb. It's the same writer as Sons of Anarchy. Did you know that?
Yeah, I didn't know that, man.
So it doesn't make sense now though that it's just Sons of Anarchy.
I've not even watched it, man.
With horses instead of bikes.
Yeah. A lot of people have been. I've heard loads of people talking about it. I've never watched it. Yellowstone.
It's great.
Perfect,
so that's what I'm like. Season 4 out of 5 that I'm up to at the minute.
Where can you watch it? Is it Netflix?
It's on Paramount. Paramount Plus.
One of them. Yeah. Perfect. Kai, pleasure. Cheers for coming in, man. Loved having you on.
Cheers.
Thanks very much.
Thanks for having us.
Cheers. Goodbye.